just looking at any kind of follow-up questions, just helpfully being highlighted here. Aubrey in Nuneaton has a question about our rights in the workplace. Lots of her question disappeared for a second there, but it's come back on my screen. So, lots of our current laws, like the Working Time Directive, are protected by the EU. How easy would it be for future UK governments to abandon this protection? So what I think Aubrey's getting at there is some of the news and stories that have been out about the role that the EU plays in looking after workers, in kind of ensuring workers' rights. What do you think will happen after Brexit to those regulations?
Well, it depends very much on British politics. Leaving the EU means that we would no longer be constrained by EU laws to do those things, like the Working Time Directive. And so it's very much a question of what you think will happen in domestic British politics. And I think there's a spectrum there. So, for example, the reason we have the current form of the equal pay legislation actually goes back to European law. We were forced by European law to introduce equal pay for work of equal value for women and men in this country. Now, do I think that any future British government is going to repeal the Equal Pay Act and its successors? No, I don't, because I just don't think that's politically going to happen. So, in that sense, being in the EU made a difference, but I'm not sure that leaving the EU doesn't make a difference. The Working Time Directive is more interesting. Actually, in the last 10 years, there were lots of businesses here which didn't like it. There were lots of complaints that the EU was imposing on this, and yet there doesn't seem actually, now that it has become operational in the UK, there isn't that much appetite for getting rid of it, and I'm not sure that it will happen. But there is scope. There will be more scope for change, for better or worse, when we're outside the EU.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you're talking there about basically there's more scope for change, and the kind of domestic political climate has more range in terms of the impact it can have on things like workers' rights, whereas before there was a kind of parameter set by the EU. Not to forget, I'm sure lots of people think many of the equal pay battles that we've won in the UK, that there were UK people as a part of that debate as well.
There were, but it's just a fact that actually the equal pay for we had, you couldn't, up until the Equal Treatment Directive, it was illegal in this country to pay women and men who were doing identical jobs differently. But actually, that was not really that big an issue. It was legal. What the Equal Treatment Directive meant was that equal pay for jobs of equal value was a European requirement. That was imposed on us by the European Court. It was not. I'm sure we would have got there in the end anyway. But the fact is, legally, it was imposed on us by the European Court.
It feels to me like we could potentially have a separate session talking about the impact of Brexit on women in particular, which has been one of the issues that I think we'd love to get into in more detail, but I'm not sure we've got time. I would love to talk about it more.